Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Nasir Jamal, Assistant Professor of Department of Statistics. I am a regular faculty of this department. In this semester, I have to teach a course to you, Stat 401. The title of this course is Biostatistics. Credit hours of this course 3 into 2-2. It means there will be 2 lectures of theory in a week and one lecture of practical. The day for these 2 classes, on Thursday I will be delivered practical lectures, and on Friday there will be 2 consecutive theory lectures. The breakup of examination of this course is given here. The total marks of this course are 60, and the breakup of these 60 marks are as midterm examination 12 marks, final examination 24, assignments, the marks of assignments are 4, and the marks of practical examinations are 20. The books which we will be consult during the semester are given here. Introduction to Statistical Theory Part 1 by Professor Sher Mohammad Chaudhary and Dr. Shahid Kamal, and Introduction to Statistical Theory Part 2 by Professor Sher Mohammad Chaudhary and Dr. Shahid Kamal. Another book which is relevant to your field, that is DVM or Veterinary and Animal Sciences, is Statistics for Veterinary and Animal Sciences, 3rd edition, Aviva Petrie and Paul Watson. बाकायदा तौर पर एज टेक्स्ट बुक के तौर पर तो हम बुक नंबर 1 और ये 2 जो है ये कंसल्ट करेंगे, पार्ट 1 पार्ट 2 स्टैटिस्टिकल थ्योरी, इंट्रोडक्शन टू स्टैटिस्टिकल थ्योरी। लेकिन स्पेसिफिक उस यूज़ के लिए विच इज़ रेलेवेंट टू योर फील्ड, दैट इज़ वेटरनरी साइंसेस एंड एनिमल साइंसेस, you can consult Statistics for Veterinary and Animal Sciences by Aviva Petrie. Now come towards the first topic of this practical lecture, that is type of data. There are 2 types of data, primary data and secondary data. Here I have given the detail of these 2 types of data. Primary data is the data that is collected by a researcher from first-hand source using method like survey, interviews or experiment. It is collected with the research project in mind and directly from primary source. The term is used in contrast with the term secondary data. Secondary data is gathered from studies, survey or experiment that have been run by other peoples or for other research. Typically, a researcher will begin a project by working with secondary data. This allows time to formulate questions and gain an understanding of the issues being dealt with before the more costly and time-consuming operations of collecting primary data. Examples of primary and secondary data: let's say you are a researcher in trauma in brain survivors. You would typically begin with your study by going through the literature on the subject, Data gleaned both from published papers and unpublished research notes would be a secondary data, although it is not primary data. It could give you invaluable information. Nevertheless, if you decide to go on to collect the primary data, the secondary data would give you what information you need to know where to begin. If you took a trip to a trauma unit and interviewed burn survivors, the data collected in that phase of your research would be a primary data. If one of your interviewers put you in touch with the burn survivor support group and you are given access to the database of information about the psychological state of a large group of survivors in the year following the burn incidents, that would also be a secondary data, not a primary data. Primary data and secondary data both have their advantages and disadvantages. Therefore, when carrying out research, it is left for the researcher to weigh these factors and choose the better one. It is therefore important for one to study the similarities and differences between these data types so as to make proper decision when choosing a better data type of research work. What is primary data? Primary data is a kind of data that is collected directly from the data source without going through any existing source. It is most costly, especially for a research product, and may be shared publicly to used for other research. Primary data is often reliable, authenticated, and objective in as much as it was collected with the purpose of the addressing a particular research problem. It is not noteworthy that primary data is not commonly collected because of the high cost of implementation. A common example of primary data is the data collected by organizations during market research, product research, and competitive analysis. This data is collected directly from its original source, which is most cases are the existing and potential customers. More of the people who collect primary data are government authorities like agencies, investigators, research-based private institutions. Primary data is specific to the needs of the researcher at the moment of the data collections. The researcher is able to control the kind of data that is being collected. These are some pros of primary data. It is accurate compared to secondary data. The data is not subject to personal bias, and as such the authenticity can be trusted. The researcher exhibits ownership of the data collected through primary research, or he or she may choose to make it available publicly, patent it, or even sell it. Primary data is usually up to the data because it is collects data in real time and does not collect data from old sources. The researcher has full control over the data collected through primary research. He can decide which design method and data analysis techniques to be used. Coin's primary data is very expensive compared to secondary data. Therefore, it might be difficult to collect primary data. It is time consuming. It may not be feasible to collect primary data in some cases due to its complexity and required commitment. Here I again explain the differences and between primary and secondary data. You can read remaining text of related to the differences and proper understanding of primary and secondary data in the file which I will also send to you in MS Word. There are certain examples are also given here. I also take up some text from the book which I have recommended you, which is related to your field, especially that one. That is the book Statistics for Veterinary and Animal Sciences, so that you can get proper understanding of the importance of subjective statistics in your own field. This text is also given in the file of MS Word. You can read and try to make some understanding of the importance of statistics in your own field. Thank you, students.